like a record, baby. You know, there comes a time for every boy when his life is changed forever, when he gets the call. Now, I had the call recently. It came from Brendan from Sony Publicity, who said, did we want to interview Pete Burns? And I said, the Pete Burns? I said, the dead or alive Pete Burns, the 80s icon gender-bending you spin me round Pete Burns. And they said, yeah, that's the one. We went, all right then. But before we do, let's ask the people on the street what they think of Pete.
So Lorraine, what's your opinion on Pete Burns?
He's very glamorous, very glamorous. I don't like his music that much, but I like his makeup and his hair.
Pete Burns. Oh, dead or alive? I've heard actually nothing about him. I read an article about him in Beat magazine the other day. Sort of found out what he was doing, what he's done, stuff like that. Sounds interesting.
Well, I just remember, like in the 80s, long tresses of hair and dancing like this and singing lots of silly songs.
Pete Burns is, he's a long time ago. Yeah, he's alright. I don't know what he's doing now.
I think he's a great artist. I love, like, gender-bending freaks like him and stuff that aren't afraid to get up and get into, like, tight leotards and prance around in high heels. It's great. Freak everybody out.
I was more into sort of punk and ska, new wave, that sort of thing. So it was a bit disco for me.
So you've never heard any Dead or Alive tunes?
Probably, but what did he do? You Spin Me Right Round? I remember that one. That's the only one that rings a bell. Which I quite like. It's a bit too 80s pop for me though. 80s Nick Cave.
Yeah, I've got the Monkey Bubble mix of Love Come Back, I think it's called. Yeah. Good song. I wasn't a big fan. I never went and bought all the records and stuff.
Not like a die-hard fan, but I did like them. I would always get up and dance when they came on.
If it was Nick Cave or someone like that, then I would.
Which just goes to show that Smith Street waiters prefer Nick Cave to Pete Burns, as if that's any kind of surprise. But what of the man himself? Well, we caught up with him at Virgin Mary's in Paran and asked him a bunch of questions, one after the other.
Well, what would you want to know about the album? It's called New Cleopatra. It's got songs and tunes on that I sing. I'm constantly asked this question. I really don't know what to say about the album. It's just another album that I've made.
You didn't approach this with any different way that you would approach?
In a very slapdash fashion. Every album that we've ever done, we've approached it we're not really orientated so much towards mainstream commercial success. Making an album or making records is a great job to do, but there comes a time that if your record is successful, we have to say, stop, I want to go and do another one. Like with the case of Spin Me Round was a hit now 11 years ago, and it's got to the point where I'm starting to feel like Judy Garland singing Over the Rainbow and seriously thinking of killing myself with diet pills, because I get tired of repetition, which makes it very difficult for record companies and things like that to work with me, because I'll only promote something for so long. I don't believe in milking something to the point of torture. But it is, we've done a new album. We recorded it about a year ago. We're doing separate deals in every territory around the world, because I don't want to be with just one company, because if you piss one area off, then you've had it in every other area. So it's taken time for it to be released in different territories, and now the workload's coming at us.
I was surprised that Spin Me Round was the first single. Was that?
It wasn't anything. Yeah, it was the record company, and if that makes their job easy, I mean, I've got to admit that over the years I've made record companies want to kill me quite often. In one way, I'm sad it's been reissued, because, well, if it'd just been a reissue of the old mix, I would have felt that I was conning people, but because it's been re-recorded and remixed, it's not so bad, and people seem to still want it, which is really very nice. I'm not complaining about that, but I do other things. No, I don't dislike the guy. I mean, Pete Wilson had very little to do with the production side of records anyway. He was just like the brand name on it. It was the two people who we worked with, Mike Stock and Matt Aiken, that I have the thing against. When we initially went to them to do our first album, which was Youthquake and You Spin Me Round, because in England, I don't know how it is in other territories, they have the idea that dance music or disco music is particularly aimed at the gay market, which from my point of view it isn't, it's just the music that I do. They have a very bad attitude towards the consumers of their music. I've never worked with such vile human beings in my entire life. Pete Waterman's a different case altogether. From a business point of view, I thought they were very, very greedy, and I do have a bone of contention about the fact that they, well, how can I explain it? They started to destroy the creative side of the music industry, and they started to write the songs and create the artists, etc., etc. And I think that is an unhealthy thing in the music industry, and I think it's responsible for a lot of the recession and smaller record sales worldwide for people, because on an international scale, it's very hard for people to take Jason Donovan seriously on any level. His records may have been okay, I thought they were shit. I mean, even Kylie's made good records. I've been reading interviews saying that I hated Kylie. I have nothing against Kylie whatsoever. I just don't like what she represented. And the fact that she's become supposedly a gay icon, I think that just shows how low the gay icon standard has slipped, really. The reason that we went to Stock Aitken Waterman in the first place was we already had that sound. We were already doing what people classify as high energy music and working in the wheels of the corporate industry. Before they will allow a band in the studio, you have to have a producer with you to make sure things are technically perfect. And I chose Stock Aitken Waterman because they'd done a Divine single that I particularly liked. I thought it was funny and it sounded like one of our songs. And I thought, well, because they've done it before, they'll make the recording process very easy and it'll be very, very quickly. And it all worked out really, really well, apart from the fact that when we went into them to work with them, they no longer wanted to make records for what they thought were a bunch of old pansies. You know, they didn't want to do it. They wanted to turn us into a rock group and stuff, and we had to fight to keep our sound that way. And once it was so successful, they decided, oh, we can get anyone in front of this. We can just use the same backing track. It's not as sour as it comes across. It's a business thing, and I wouldn't work with them ever again.
And we'll have more of Pete Burns after these messages.
Think in terms of gay, straight, or black or white. It's my upbringing. It's not something that's been politically heaped upon me. The world that I grew up in was a very different world than most people grow up in today, and nothing was wrong, and everybody was the same. And now when I go out doing promotion work and, you know, doing interviews and stuff, people say, how do you feel about being a gay icon? Well, you know, how could I possibly say how I feel? It's just something that happens, and I don't really differentiate between gay, straight and black and white. You know, it's just one big mass of people to me. Well, people get a bit disappointed and they think that I'm sitting here in denial about things. I mean, my social life in England, and even when I travel, I don't go strictly to gay clubs, I go to mixed clubs. I don't like the ghettoization of the gay community. It's not an ideal world, and I don't understand the political ramifications of it. I know that in London, England, there is almost a gay ghetto, which is the Soho area, and it's probably the best area that there is in London, but it makes me a little bit sad that it's not more mixed. I don't know where the fault lies. Is it on the side of the gay community or the heterosexual community? I really don't know where the fault lies, but there's not enough mixing in England. I don't know about here. My sexuality and stuff like that, I mean, you can't judge a book by its cover, and I go whatever way the wind blows me. And the whole labelling thing, I've got to think of a much more intellectual way of answering this. It's not a question that I spend time thinking about, because to me it was never an issue. Never an issue. I'm happily married. Obviously I've, you know, experienced both sides of the coin. I have no problem. Obviously people who are, a lot of people have a lot more problems than I do. I'm just very, very lucky.